Welcome to this new section where we're going to talk about services, dependency injection, and how to work with server data. In this first video, we're going to focus on what are services and how to use them. So we're going to see what are services, what is the @injectable decorator, we're going to talk about the providers array, and finally we'll see the role of constructors in dependency injection. So what are services in Angular? Services are really meant to handle the application logic, how to fetch data from a server, how to update data to the server, and so forth. So all of the business logic will go into services, and all of the interaction with the server using the HTTP protocol will be done through services. Unlike components, services don't have HTML template, and really in its most basic form, a service is just a class that can be injected, meaning that can be used in any other component, service, directive, or pipe in our code. So how do we create a service? This happens through the @injectable decorator. And what this does is it turns a class into an injectable service. So in order to use injectable, all we have to do is really use that decorator on a class. So first we have to import it from Angular core, then we apply it to a class, and that class is now a service that can be used by components. Let's take a look at an example of service. What you have here on the screen is an example of service, a post service to be specific, which will basically make some HTTP request to a server to get a list of posts from social media, for instance. So all we have to do to make that post service a service is really to add the @injectable decorator, and then that service can be used in other classes. So now if I go to a component that displays a list of posts, the list post components right here, all it does in the constructor is ask for an instance of post service. And that's basically how dependency injection will happen. Just by asking for a post service in the constructor, the Angular framework will know what to do, inject an instance of that service, and now in my component, I can basically call the getPost method, subscribe to it, and display that data as soon as it is returned by the service. So as we just saw, any class marked as injectable is a candidate for dependency injection. There's one more step to make it happen, though, and that's using the providers array. In order for dependency injection to be possible, that class now has to be added to the providers array of any injector. And most of the time, what we're going to do is add that service into the providers array of our main app module. So that's what the providers section here is all about. As you can see, my post service is declared in the providers section. And in that case, it means that our application has 4 different services that can be injected in any other Angular class. So that's all we need to know for now. In the next video, we're going to dive into more details about what this providers array is all about. Now, as we saw in our component, constructors are very important to make dependency injection happen. Constructors are really where we request a specific service, and basically the Angular framework will inject it for us once it is requested. So in this video, we learned that services are classes that can be injected in any other Angular object. Again, services are meant to handle the business logic of our application. So every time there is something complex that has to be done, instead of doing this in a component, we're going to do it in a service, which means this behavior is refactored in there and can be reused by many different classes. In order to turn a class into a service, we use the @injectable decorator. And finally, the array of providers is a list of classes that can be injected.